Hey there guys, and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for joining me once again, and as usual, this is it. Don't get scared now. We skipped this weekend for a live show, but I was busy. I uploaded a brand new video over on the Flick Pick channel. Go check that out. It's where I broke down every single movie I watched this summer that I never got a chance to talk about. So essentially there's like 8 movie reviews in a 13-minute video, and plus I do a really cool promo segment where I go to Jurassic Park, and by Jurassic Park I meant Universal Studios, but I show you some really cool dinosaur shoes and a hoodie and run away from an animatronic dinosaur. So if you haven't watched that video, go over to the Flick Pick channel after this live show and watch it if you could. Please, I think you'll enjoy it. So with all that said, I have a lot to talk about tonight, but first and foremost, let me double check the audio. Make sure. Okay, it's working. Good. Okay. I want to do a special unboxing for you guys here tonight, live. It'll be the first main topic, and then after this unboxing, we'll dive into your questions and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. As usual, the live shows are dictated by you. You guys decide the topics that we talk about, and whatever you guys ask, that's where I go. So no matter how weird it gets, no matter how dark, I will go there. I'm not afraid of anything. Do you hear that? I'm not afraid anymore. And then an old man comes out with a shovel and a trash can full of salt. All right. So the main thing I wanted to talk about today is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. This is one of the coolest unboxings I'm probably going to do of all time. And as a wise man once said, you either get busy living or you get busy watching Shawshank Redemption on 4K. My name is Morgan Freeman. Yeah, that's right. We have this awesome... Look at this thing. Look at this awesome like swag press box from Warner Brothers. Finally, Shawshank Redemption is on 4K. If ever there was a cinematic masterpiece that deserved that higher resolution, those extra pixels for my eyeballs to look at, it's the Shawshank Redemption. And I've loved this movie. I remember seeing the Shawshank Redemption for the first time back in 94 or 95. Whenever it hit HBO, and I watched it one rainy night. And I was like, even as a young, stupid kid, I was probably 8 or 9 years old. It connected with me. I understood it. I related to Andy Dufresne. So anyway, and that's why I never went to prison, because a guy like me wouldn't last long, and plus his sisters would love me too much. So let's open up the Shawshank Redemption, and plus, look at this. Look at that. Look at that. There's a hole in the box. You can put your arm in it. That's amazing. You could cover it up like a poster. You could put like a Megan Fox poster over this and hide it. That way you can escape eventually. But anyway, let's open this up. This box is amazing. I don't know why. I'm so excited about a box. Can I? Oh, here we go. Now, I have not opened this up yet. I saved this for you guys. All right, let's open this up. Oh, look at that. It even smells like Morgan Freeman. Okay. So we have the Shawshank Redemption in here, the 4K, blah, blah, blah. So yeah. Now, I don't know anything about the picture quality of Shawshank on 4K. I'm sure it's good. I'll have to watch it and give you guys my thoughts after I actually do watch it, because I probably will pop this in like tomorrow or the next day. I'll sort of just, wait and eat a frozen pizza and enjoy the movie. It's been like, I probably haven't watched this movie in like a year, so I usually watch it at least once a year, but yeah, just one of the best films of all time. I like the premise of Andy Dufresne being wrongly accused and being stuck in a situation that he has to get himself out of with his wits and his determination. I like that. That's good life advice. That's good motivation. So yeah, here it is. Here's the back of it. I like the way it looks. But inside the box, we have Stephen King's novella, Shawshank Redemption, which is probably one of my favorite Stephen King books. And plus, it's not, oddly enough, you would think this would be like an 800-page novel. Super thin. It's super short. So then we have a harmonica in here. I don't know how to play the harmonica. The sisters... Wait. Andy Dufresne went to the shower room, and he never left the same again. Okay, that's enough of that. And then, okay, let's just check this out. Comes with a chessboard, and there's a whole bunch. I needed a chess set, actually. I've played chess 3 times in my life. I wish I was better at it than I am. But that's really nice. It's actually kind of like wooden. Yeah. So I don't have to go out in the prison yard anymore and polish rocks to make chess pieces. But speaking of polishing rocks, check this out. They sent me a rock hammer. Now, what am I going to do with this? I'm not quite sure. But you can never have enough rock hammers. That's my motto. Let me open this up. Ugh. It's a legitimate rock hammer. Okay, I'll take it. So yeah. Super cool unboxing. Thanks, Warner Brothers. So yeah, as far as this movie goes, I would definitely crawl through 3 football fields of shit-smelling madness you could never even imagine to watch this. So, Shawshank Redemption on 4K, that's my unboxing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now let's dive into the questions. Alright, and we have a lot of them already. So let me try to go quick here. Oh, Bakatir has become a member. Thanks, Bakatir. Much appreciated. I thought you already were a member. Maybe you rejoined. But either way, thank you so much for the support. Claudia Rogajan. I'm currently sitting with my brother right now behind Greg Cedar at a screening for The Room. My life is complete. That's awesome, man. Awesome. Tap him on the shoulder. Ah, what a funny story. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Get a selfie with him. Enjoy it, man. I'd like to see The Room with a live audience. Or just consume a whole bunch of alcohol and watch it by myself one sad, lonely, rainy night. The next one comes from... Someone said poke the hole, John. I did poke the hole just for you. Actually, I'm going to take... I feel like this box is worth $600 if I put it on eBay. Does anyone want to buy the box? I'll include the hammer. Yeah. I should have... You know what I should have done? I should have had the movie in the hole like that. That's what I should have done. Either way, I'll put a post tomorrow talking about the hole in the Shawshank Redemption. You guys want to know what the sister's favorite hole was? Andy Dufresne. Sorry, I had to say it. Okay. The next one. The next one comes from, we're going to find who it comes from here. Skateboarding versus movies. If you were a supervillain, what hero would you fight? Well, obviously, I don't want to fight Superman because I'll probably get my ass kicked. I probably want to fight one of the weakest superheroes. Maybe Hawkeye. I feel like if I was a supervillain, maybe I could take Hawkeye. Like, once he runs out of arrows, what's he going to do? His hand-to-hand combat skills? It's like, I have a gun. You're done. So probably Hawkeye. Claudia Rogajan asks, I meant to say Greg Sestero. My bad. I knew who you were talking about. That's who I assumed you were talking about. Yeah. Is Tommy Wiseau there? No, probably not. Enjoyed the movie, nevertheless, man. Joe Mama says, hear Andrew Garfield saying he's not in Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Andrew Garfield has been saying he's not in... I'm going to hold the rock hammer for a little bit as we talk. Because it makes me feel good. Yeah, he's been saying that for like 2 months now. That's not news. Like, he said that once, like 3 months ago, and he's recently denied it again. He's contractually obligated to say he's not in the movie. They're legally not allowed to admit that they're in the movie. So that's why he's saying no. So yeah, he's in the movie. He's definitely in the movie. Why would he not be? Taylor Goodwin says, was just watching one of your really old videos and you were talking about how you tipped your hairdresser good in hopes that she would give you sexual favors. I said that? And that right there's why I could never run for political office. Yeah, that was a joke, I guess. I don't remember saying that, but nor I don't confirm it, nor do I deny it. I probably was making a joke about tipping the hairdresser in relation to American Psycho. Yes, tip the hairdresser. No, you don't have to tip the owner. Yeah, but I probably did say that. But thank you nevertheless for the great question and the very generous super chat. So thank you, Taylor. Hashtag Zero says, winners go home and after prom queen. Absolutely, they do. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Darla was the prom queen. If you guys haven't seen the film The Rock, go check it out. Probably one of my favorite Sean Connery movies. Garrett Benningfield says, nothing, but thanks for the super chat, Garrett. Chris Ramirez, hey John, just took my first big boy job as an assistant golf course superintendent. Had to give time support. Had to give time support. I think I understand that, but either way, man, congratulations on your big boy job. Speaking of golf, I'm absolutely terrible. I'm not even good at putt-putt. I do like it. But yeah, congrats on the job, man. Amon Lasfar, thanks for the super chat, no question. By the way, I think sometimes people put a super chat, when you click the super, you got to make sure you have a comment in there or a question, then click the super chat. Just FYI, either way. Max Nugenbauer, I watched your last video, good video, but I like it better that you grade movies instead of going 0 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. I like it better that you grade movies instead of... So do you like the rating system, or do you want me to grade them with like a letter grade? I don't like the letter grades, and I'm going to tell you why. People get a little, and here's the issue. Here's the thing with even giving a movie a grade or a score at the end of the review. It's the most frustrating thing, and I think anyone who's been on YouTube long enough that reviews movies will probably agree with the same thing. I've had discussions about other people or with other people who talk about movies. You can sit there and give a 25-minute review. You can share 300 different thoughts, opinions, in-depth analysis of a movie. But so help me God, if you give that movie a B+, people are like, well, you sounded like you liked it. Why didn't you give it an A-? So people get a little too hung up on the small fractional difference of a grade, and rather than just listening to the review and what you really had to say about it. So sometimes a grade is almost counterproductive to even talking about the movie, because if people are only going to take away the grade, then it's kind of like, well, why did I just talk about it for 20 minutes when I could have just said, I give this movie a B+. See you guys later. So I went to the star rating system, which is sort of new for me. I've only included it on 2 videos now. But the thing about the letter grades was, if you have a B+, and then you have a B, then you have a B-, well, it's like, they're too close. It's such a minute difference. So I think with like a star rating from 0 to 5, it's a little bit more broad. It's like, okay, like anything over like 3 and beyond is like, okay, it's sort of a positive review. So that's why I did it. They make my life easier, but apparently it's not working. The next one comes from Garrett Benningfield. John, why the hell did you like The Witch? Oh, John, why the hell don't you like The Witch? Let me tell you why I don't like The Witch. Actually, it's not that I dislike The Witch. It's that I hate the ending to The Witch. And I'll further explain. I like the time period. I think it's eerie. It's creepy. I think it's well made. I like the way it looks. It's basically a group of Quakers that live out in the middle of nowhere. The atmosphere of that film is great. It's what I like to see in a movie. But it felt like they couldn't come up with an ending to the movie. So what they did is they just randomly ended it with floating witches in the woods. Well, I guess we sort of assumed it was going there. I just expected a little bit more, especially from the slow burn movie. It's just like, yeah, like it felt like he had everything in the movie except for a good ending. So they just sort of made it up the day of. That's why I don't like it. It almost felt like such a slow burn. The payoff was not there. That's my biggest issue with it. Daniel Cahulo. I always say your last name wrong. I'm sorry, Daniel. Hey, John, imagine unboxing the 4K edition of the movie 7. What would you find in the box? Ooh, that would be a good one. That would make for a great unboxing. If they're smart, they would do that. They would do something creative like that. What's in the box? It's my wife's head. All right. Also, another movie starring Morgan Freeman. Why is he in all the greatest movies of all time? Beach Bum 0331 says, why would they not include a poster? I think logistically speaking, a poster takes up so much room to do it properly because you have to have this cylindrical tube that's 4 foot long. So the box works, and unless you're going to give me a poster that's wrapped up and it's the theatrical version of the poster, I don't want it. If they give me a poster that's folded up with creases in it, what do you do with that? All right, the next one comes from Rich the Savior, and thank you for the super chat, Rich. And he says, John, I've been in a hole playing nothing but Payday 2 for the past week. You can play as Bodhi from Point Break, and it's great. Ramble about Point Break for a bit. What is Payday? I don't know what that is. You can play as Bodhi from Point Break and Payday? I have no clue what this is. I'm so out of the loop. Is this a game? Where do I play this game? Can you play as Johnny Utah, or do you have to play as Bodhi? But I will say this. It was never about the money, man. It was about us against the system, showing that the human spirit is still alive while everyone else inches down the freeways in their metal coffins. That is the motto of life, and that's the best advice I can ever give you. Take it how you will. Speaking of Point Break, I want that on 4K. I need that on 4K. Give it to me now. But yeah, thanks, Rich, for the question. Bastiel says, hello, John. I think the scene between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper in True Romance is on par with the scene between De Niro and Pacino in Heat. I think it's good. It's a good encounter scene with two great actors. I think the scene with De Niro and Pacino in Heat, to me, was a little bit more pivotal and just a little more on the edge of my seat. Plus, the movie is there's such a duality between those two characters that when they finally do confront each other, there's like such tension. And I love this saying that they go back and forth. They're just like, well, hey, if I see you coming around the corner, I'm going to do what I have to do. Yeah, and if I see you coming around the corner, I'm going to do what I have to do. And it's like they understand that. They understand each other. They understand you're a cop, I'm a criminal. That's as simple as it is. It's white and black. There's no gray zones here. That's what I like about it. What is the... What? Ilias? Thanks for the super chat. No question, though. But thanks. Sack of Wine says, what are your thoughts on the 2010 film, The A-Team? Definitely a guilty pleasure for me. Well, you know, The A-Team sort of reminds me of another film that came out, I believe it was in 2010, maybe 2009. There was a slew of movies that were instantly forgettable to me at this time period. And I actually did work at a movie theater for part of 2009 going into 2010, part-time. And I remember this movie came out around that time. But The A-Team for me, I thought it was going to be a little bit better than it was. Don't get me wrong. I like Liam Neeson. Bradley Cooper in the movie was fine. They had the UFC fighter as the replacement for Mr. T. I don't remember anything about the movie, though. So that doesn't say much about it. And I don't have any urge to ever rewatch it. Also, there's the other film that came out around the same time about another group of a team in an action movie, and it starred Chris Evans. It was called Losers. And let me tell you something about that movie. It feels like they ran out of money when they were making it, because the last 30 minutes of the movie just takes place at a loading dock. It just felt like they went to a loading dock to shoot the rest of the movie. And I rewatched 10 minutes of it a few weeks ago randomly on TV. And I just remembered how instantly forgettable this movie was. It's almost laughable. But anyway, yeah, that's one of those movies that fall into that 2010 category of just movies that happened, but no one remembers and no one talks about. But apparently you still like the A-Team, so I guess I'm mistaken. All right. Joe Mama says, watch Kate on Netflix. I just thought it was meh. I don't even know what Kate on Netflix is. I have no clue what that is. No clue whatsoever. But the fact that you said it's meh, why would I watch it? The next one comes from Sack of Wine. Do a Morgan Freeman impression of a third grade teacher on the first day of school. Now listen up, Sonny Jims. Shut the hell up. I'm going to send you down to the hole with the sisters. I don't know. What do you say to third graders? Was that sufficient? That's all I have to give. Mike Peters says, do you have any faith in Indiana Jones 5? Personally, I have none. I have a little bit of faith. I think the director behind it has directed some great movies. It's James Mangold, right? Directed Logan. Okay, I have faith in this. He knows how to tell a story about sort of an over the hill sort of grizzled guy going on one last adventure. If we get that, I think if anything, they definitely learn from the mistakes of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Shit Skull, and hopefully we get a quality movie. If for nothing else, even if it's marginally, fractionally better than Indiana Jones and the Crystal Shit Skull with Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys in the jungle, if it's just a fractional amount better, then it was all worth it. As long as it washes the taste of that piece of garbage out of my mouth from 2007, I will be happy with it. Indy deserves a better send-off than that movie. So I have some faith in it. MB 2001 says, "What's up, John? Been a fan for a while. I know you're a pro wrestling fan. Do you watch AEW or pay any attention to it?" I do. I keep up with the news and the reports. I saw that CM Punk came back. I see that their arenas with AEW are selling out, and that's great for them. I mean, that competition always makes for a better product when it comes to wrestling. I just remember the Monday Night Wars back in the late 90s with WCW and WWF at the time. And that was like the best time to be alive. But yeah, I don't watch it on a normal basis, to be honest with you, but I do keep up with a little bit of it. And it looks exciting. Like I want to watch it. I just haven't got around to it. But thanks for the question. Luis Hernandez says, "Hey, John, bro, just wondering where you moved to." I moved like 2 months ago. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana now. This is my hometown. This is where I'm from. This is where I originally made videos from 2010 to 2016. Then I moved, and then I moved again. Then I moved again. Then I think I moved again, and then I moved back. I might have missed one move in there. Either way, I move a lot. So yeah, I live in Indiana now. Cody Leach. How do you feel about Tracy Morgan taking Eddie Murphy's role in Triplets? I love Twins, but not a Tracy Morgan fan at all, so I'm disappointed. You and me both. I've never been a big fan of Tracy Morgan. I don't think he's funny. I think Eddie Murphy would have been the right choice. At least Eddie Murphy would have been closer to the right age, because Arnold and Danny DeVito are like in their 70s, and Eddie Murphy is close, but at least he has like that comedic edge. He's one of the iconic comedic actors and performers from the 1980s. Tracy Morgan, for me, is just a guy that was on SNL, and he wasn't that funny. So yeah, I'm slightly disappointed, and I'm one of the weirdos. I love the movie Twins. I grew up watching the movie Twins all the time on VHS. I thought it was a great movie, and if you haven't seen Twins, it's bizarre to say the least. Essentially what happened was, in this laboratory, they made a sperm milkshake, and then they wanted to make the perfect specimen of a human being, so they made Arnold. And then with all the leftovers, Danny DeVito happened. So like, it's a great movie. If that premise didn't sell you, nothing will, but check it out. As far as the upcoming, with the one with Tracy, like, I'd rather them just not have Tracy Morgan in it. Just make it Twins Part 2 without a triplet. Johnny Carr says, did you or anyone in the chat notice the ending of Green Knight was very similar to The Last Temptation of Christ starring Willem Dafoe? Am I crazy? I've seen The Last Temptation of Christ. Or am I thinking of... I'm thinking of Antichrist. I'm thinking of where he chops off his genitals. I'm sorry. I was like, that seems odd to put in the Green Knight. But I was really excited for a second there. Yeah, I haven't seen Green Knight yet, so I can't answer that. But I hope to get it on 4K soon. Michael Parton says, Malignant was insanely bonkers, but I did enjoy it for what it was. I don't want a sequel for it, but I do want James Wan to direct more horror movies. Yeah, I have a video. I'm going to make a video for Malignant, since I actually did get my set all together, and I did finally make a video in front of that fucking set finally, and I know it took forever to do that, but I did it. I have a lot of things to say about Malignant, and the more I think about the movie, the more I'm bothered by it. I have a lot of things to say. I wasn't the biggest fan, I will say that. I get what he was going for. I understand why people like it. But as far as an actual movie goes, I don't think it was very good. I think tonally it was almost tone deaf. And don't get me wrong, like I love cheesy horror movies. I like anything that has a throwback to the 1980s. But you either have to go for it or not do it at all. And it felt like the movie couldn't make up its mind. I'm giving you my review right now, more or less, but I didn't like it. But I'm glad you did. I thought the ending twist was fun. I did. It reminded me of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though. I'm just going to say that. Sack of Wine says, who is the best actor who ended up quitting acting and doing a non-acting job? I don't know. Why can I not I'm trying to remember his name. There's an actor who was in everything in like the mid 2000s. My God, my brain just pooped out of my ear right now. Why can I not remember his name? Robin from The Dark Knight Rises. Don John. Why can I not remember this actor's name all of a sudden? Someone remind me in the chat. I'm sorry, my mind just blanked out. Someone remind me. Either way, I know he took a break from acting. I guess he wanted to focus on his family, but someone remind me of this actor's name. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yes. God, I could not. You know what I was thinking about when you said actors retiring? I was thinking about Nicolas Cage. They just came out with an article today where Nicolas Cage was like, I'm never going to retire from acting. Not now, not ever. What is that, a shark in your pocket or something? Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. And for some reason, when Nicolas Cage said he was never going to retire for acting, it just soothes me. Sometimes I like when things never change, and the fact that Nicolas Cage will be starring in movies until he's 147 years old, just like I can sleep peacefully at night knowing that deep down inside. But yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was in everything from like 2008 to 2013. And then he just like stopped acting to focus on his family. So I don't know if he's retired. He took a break, but that's who comes to mind. Your name here, sad to hear about Norm Macdonald, was good in Billy Madison. He called the shit poop. Chlorophyll, more like borophyll. Yeah, Norm Macdonald passed away. That's crazy, especially he was only about 60 years old. I believe he had cancer and he kept it to himself. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It really is. Once I heard that, I sort of was in the mood to go back and rewatch Dirty Work from like 1998. I haven't seen the movie in 20 years, so maybe I'll get around to watching that at some point. I'm sure some streaming service will put it on there. Luis Hernandez says, part 2, it's been cool watching your journey, man. Well, thanks. Yeah, my journey. I do move every 2 weeks, but nevertheless, man, thanks for sticking around and always coming back. That's all I can say to you guys. Thanks for sticking around and always coming back. It doesn't mean a lot, I will say that. Gus Babington says, I have a podcast called The Brothers Movie Factory. We take older films and imagine what it would look like today, new cast / director, etc. We are entering our 4th year tomorrow. Can we get a shout out? Yeah, the podcast is called The Brothers Movie Factory. So I guess check it out on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Yeah, man, good luck with your podcast. I'll check it out, actually. I'll look it up. Gus Babington says, P.S. I love your live streams. Well, thanks, Gus. I like making them. I do like doing the live streams. I love doing live streams. If I could just do live streams and I had to do nothing else on YouTube, I would pick live streams. And people always say, John, make more dedicated videos. John, why don't you make more videos? John, why don't you talk about this movie? And I'm just like, I talk about movies for 2 fucking hours every week on a live stream. Essentially, I'm making 47 videos in one, talking about 800 different things. So, yeah, I love the live streams. So thanks for watching, man. I'm just going to, at the end of this live stream, I'm going to hit myself in the head with this hammer. I'm just going to pass out on the live stream, and it's going to go for like the next 24 hours. All right. By the way, real quick, before we continue on, I want to talk about this now. I was going to talk about this in the beginning of the live show. I was sent this today by Universal. Now, I have a dedicated live show to talking about why I'm never going to watch Fast 9. Now, they did send me this. I did say yes, I want it. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet. I have ideas. Some of them include explosives, firecrackers, gasoline, possibly this hammer, or I could just drive over this until it implodes. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I haven't watched this movie, but I also had the idea to possibly do this. And let me know if you think this is really stupid or if you'd watch this video. I was debating about doing the longest reaction video ever on YouTube. And what I mean by that is I was going to put this movie in, push play, and literally just record myself watching this movie. Will I say anything? I'm not quite sure. Will I make faces of disappointment? Maybe. Will I sit there with just a look of 1,000-yard stare, eating popcorn slowly, and maybe fall asleep? Possibly. But I was thinking about just doing a 2-hour reaction video to this, watching this, because I have not seen it. I don't know if I have the energy or the willpower to do so. But let me know if you'd watch that video. I don't know. All right. The next one comes from, and I did want to talk about this. So I'm gonna dive over here to the live stream or the live feed over here. Owen Movie 75 says, "Hey John, what did you think of the Matrix 4 trailer?" So the Matrix 4 trailer, to tell you that I loved it would be a lie. Do I want to see the movie? Yes. Do I think the trailer got me super excited and I was on the edge of my seat watching it? Not really. To be honest, not really. I mean, I think it's intriguing. I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but I like it. I even like how the color grading is different. It actually has more of a realistic color grade than looking all green and tinty, which does make sense because when they lived in the Matrix universe, they had that green tint to it because they lived in essentially a software program. But now they're in reality, or at least they think they're in reality. So I have no clue where it's going to go. I don't even want to try to guess. I have no theories. Well, actually, I do have a few theories. But Mr. Anderson. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good. But the trailer itself, I wasn't in love with it. And plus, it's they have another version of Morpheus, a younger version. It's where's Lawrence Fishburne at? I don't know. So I have a lot of questions. Hopefully they get answered. Hopefully the movie has a purpose. But I am excited to see it. It's just, when it comes to the Wachowskis, for me, they haven't really directed anything phenomenal since the original Matrix. So in nearly over 20 years, they have not really directed a movie I loved. Now, some people might like Cloud Atlas. I didn't. Some people might like Speed Racer. I think it looks cool. And I know they wrote the screenplay for V for Vendetta, which I guess is the best thing they've sort of done since the Matrix. But yeah, it's hopefully it's good. It looks more practical. The new Matrix looks more practical. Is that what? Yeah. If you're referring to the new Matrix, yeah, it does. It doesn't look like everyone's. See, that was the biggest thing with the sequels. They made a great movie where they blended CG utilization and new stylistic ways of filmmaking with a 360 camera view, and then they just got lazy, or maybe lazy is the wrong term. They got a little too reliant on CG, and everything just looked like it was shot in front of a green screen and got too convoluted. So when it comes to the new movie, bringing back practical effects, I think, is what's needed. It's sort of the same mistake that they made with the Star Wars prequels. It's they went from the great originals, then they went to the prequels that just felt like they were shooting them in front of a green screen, which they were. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. All right, Alex. You said I missed your chat. Let's go. All right. We have a question here from Alex Strauss. Have you heard of a film called The Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal, directed by Fuqua? I'm pretty excited for it. Hope it's good. Comes out October 1st. I think I saw a trailer for Guilty. Jake Gyllenhaal is coming. He's going to be in 3 or 4 different movies. Isn't Guilty coming out to Netflix, or is that coming out to theatrical? Jake Gyllenhaal has a Netflix movie coming out. Is that Guilty? I think it. I think it is. He's also in an upcoming Michael Bay movie called Ambulance. So I'm like, which sounds interesting, but the thing that like kind of ruins it for me is Michael Bay's directing it. So yeah, I don't know much about it, but anything Jake Gyllenhaal, I definitely will give it a shot. All right, where are we at? Luke Sanar. What is it? Luke Sainer? I'm gonna say Luke Sainer or Sonner. Either one. Sorry, Luke. You know I can't read. Hey, John. Always enjoy the streams and the videos. What are your thoughts on War of the Worlds 2005? The alien tripod noise gave me nightmares as a kid. Yeah, I don't think that's one of Spielberg's better movies. Obviously, it's based on the radio broadcast from someone did the radio broadcast where he actually made people listening live over the radio in the 1940s. They actually thought an alien invasion was happening because they didn't know any better. So anyway, I liked it. I think visually it's a great movie. There's elements about it I really enjoy. I think I like Tom Cruise in the movie for the most part. It gets a little stagnant halfway through. I haven't seen it in a long time. I actually own it on 4K back there. There's also, speaking of like Shawshank Redemption, there's that scene that takes place in the basement with Tim Robbins being the creepiest guy you could ever encounter in a basement, like along the lines of Buffalo Bill creepy in a basement, which was a really intense, weird scene. But yeah, I like that. It's one of those Spielberg movies where it's just like you kind of forget that it exists a little bit. What is your name? Magma Liquor. Sounds good. Okay. Hey, John. Isaac Asimov's Foundation series is landing on September 24th on Apple TV. Have you heard about it? Do you think it will be any good? I have no clue what it is, and I don't own Apple TV, so I probably won't be watching it anytime soon. I have no clue what that is. I don't know what the series is. No clue. Sorry. UT Gustavo says, do you watch UFC? Favorite fighters? I don't really keep up on it. The only thing I really was keeping up on was the Conor McGregor fights, just because he knew how to get publicity and attention by talking shit to people. But I typically don't really keep up on it. I might watch some clips on YouTube or something. I like it. I don't really watch it on a normal basis. But I would. Flicks, Games, and Sex Tips. Is this the name of your YouTube channel? What is this? 85-inch LED or 65-inch OLED? 65-inch OLED all day. No way, no how would I ever go back to LED or LCD TVs. No way. OLED is life. If you enjoy great contrast, picture quality, you don't want motion blur, you want to see the deepest, richest colors with dark blacks that truly look like they should, OLED is the only way to go. And sometimes getting a bigger TV isn't always better. I've seen nice, expensive 85-inch LED panel TVs from very good brands, top of the line, $5,000 TVs, and they look like shit. They look like absolutely shit. So get an OLED. You won't be sorry. The technology is so much superior. The brothers talk about, hey John, our channel crossed 200 subs today, so here's $2 to celebrate. Thanks for the inspiration and glad to see you uploading again. Well, thanks, man, and good luck with your channel and congrats on 200 subs, man. That's a good start. It is. So keep going, man. Get to 200,000. It'll happen soon. Michael Parton says Anthony Mackie will be in the Twisted Metal series. Yeah, so I read the headline for this the other day, and I thought it was sort of interesting. Now, growing up, I never had a PlayStation, but my friends my friends had a PlayStation, so my favorite game to go play was Twisted Metal. Just driving around and causing vehicular manslaughter and mayhem. It's such a good time. I've always wanted an ice cream truck that could shoot missiles out of it. And seeing that in live action, well, that gets me excited. Probably more than it should. So yeah, I didn't know it was a series. I actually thought it was going to be a movie. So a series sounds interesting. I don't know how many seasons of Twisted Metal you could probably make. At least one, I guess. It sounds cool. I mean, it could be a good series. Starring Anthony Mackie, that's fine. It could more or less star anyone, right? As long as the vehicle action is cool and things blow up. If thinking about this, and just talking about Michael Bay a few minutes ago, a Twisted Metal movie directed by Michael Bay would actually make sense. Like, it just would. The dude loves to film cars. Like, he actually started his career filming commercials for car companies. So whenever Michael Bay films, that's why the Transformers shots of like the cars just driving down the highway look so sexy. I'm like, that's some of the best cinematography he does is when he films Cars or Megan Fox. Like, that's when he knows how to like do the right shot composition. Other than that, it's just complete mayhem. But he likes explosions. So once again, if you're gonna have an ice cream truck with fucking rocket launchers on it, that would be a movie for Michael Bay if ever. But yeah, I going back to the question, sounds cool. I'm excited. If it is a series, which streaming service will it be on? It just seems like something that would go to FX. I don't know why. Bruce Cook says that Nicolas Cage can't retire. He's broke and needs the money. Yeah, that's sort of a thing. Nicolas Cage owed some money in back taxes, but the truth is he's in a new movie every 3 days. I don't think money is really an issue anymore. I think that's like a thing from like 10 years ago. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Either way, I mean, he'll be fine. He's Nicolas Cage. Your name here, Rick Moranis, was a great actor who quit for family. Yeah, Rick Moranis did quit acting. Isn't he supposed to come back and... Wasn't he supposed to return to acting? Was that to be in the new Ghostbusters movie or something? He was coming back to do something. I swear it was like Ghostbusters, or he was returning for something, or at least he was at one point. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was in like a slew of movies and he said, I'm done. I was like, I get it. He made his millions and got out. I get it. Eamon Lasfar says, nothing, but thanks for the super chat. Thanks, man. Thomas Jones, no question, but love your channel. Thank you. Well, Thomas, I love you too, and thank you, man. Thank you for that, Thomas. Johnny says, will No Time to Die be good? You know, I can't predict the future. I'm not quite sure. I hope it is. I pray it is. When I lay in bed at night and I close my eyes, I need it to be good. I want it to be good. I need a great big scope action movie at this point, because the last few were super big letdowns. And speaking of No Time to Die coming out in October, just about a month away, actually, I'm so excited because we have been in such a dry spout of like just mediocre movies. There's been a few good movies along the way in the last couple months, but for the most part, October it feels like movies are finally coming back because everyone delayed their movies until October. So finally, when October hits, every week we have a big movie. And I'm like, fuck yeah, get the juices flowing because it'll give me a reason to review movies again. So that's what I need. So I'm looking forward to it, like good or bad. Like, I don't think Venom's going to be good, but I want to see it. No Time to Die, I think will be good, but do I think it will be a financial success? Probably not, because they've delayed that movie like 7 times. And it already cost a shitload to make, so it's gonna be hard. It's gonna have trouble making its money back. But I'm really excited for Dune, to be honest with you. That's probably my most anticipated movie of October. And who is my favorite Bond? I think if you go to the 80s, you got to pick Roger Moore. If you go to the 90s, obviously I'm gonna go with Pierce Brosnan. But man, for me, I'm all about like physicality. If I watch an action movie, I want to believe that the spy can actually physically kick someone's ass and has the bicep definition to do it. And Daniel Craig was like the most jacked Bond we had. So I might say Daniel Craig. Insert alias here, Genitals. Yes, Genitals will be the sequel to Malignant. It's where the testicle sac comes to life and starts eating people. I mean, more or less, right? That could happen. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest. Claudia Rogajon says, are you doing anything after for members? No, I will. I will be doing the once a month. I'll do the after party for YouTube members, and that's where YouTube members and Patreon supporters can join me after the live stream, and it's just us talking. But for the next one for YouTube members, what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to try to invite like 4 or 5 or 6 of you guys into the actual live show with me. And I want you guys to have your video cameras on so we can all sit there and talk. So yeah, but I'll probably do that towards the end of this month. So I will definitely announce it ahead of time. So look out for that. Sack of Wine says, what are your thoughts on the film Limitless? Is that another 2010 movie? Yeah, so I like Limitless. I do. I've seen it a few times. I think the concept's really cool. You know what I don't like about Limitless? The second half of the movie. Like the first act going into it, I like where Bradley Cooper's character is sort of unmotivated and he takes this magical pill, which essentially is like Coke, and he just gets super motivated. And it unlocks the true potential of your brain. I think that's a cool concept. But the second half of the movie, it just kind of always like, I want to stop watching it. It's one of those movies like the first half, you're like, oh, this is fun. The build-up's great. And then it starts like to sort of dwindle. And I'm like, I don't need to watch the rest of this movie. But I do enjoy it. Except for the second half, obviously. James Doshier says, hey, John, how are you doing? What are your thoughts on Peter Jackson's King Kong? I've always really enjoyed Peter Jackson's King Kong. I will say I enjoy it more than anything with King Kong in it in the last like 5 years. I definitely enjoy it more than Kong versus Godzilla or the new King Kong Skull Island movie. I liked it. I do. It was beauty that killed the beast. Like, talk about a cringe line from Jack Black. But the scene where Kong is fighting the T-Rexes, oh man, that scene is, I love every second about that. It's so, like, it's perfect. I will say this, if I do rewatch King Kong, you can easily skip the first 30 minutes of the movie where they just start getting on the boat. It's like, that's fine. Just start it there. Just skip the whole first act. You don't even need it. So usually if I rewatch it, that's what I do nowadays. But yeah, I like the way it looks. Is that on 4K? I think that'd be a good looking 4K movie. Derek Hackett says, have you ever seen on cinema at the cinema? Maybe. I don't. Maybe. It's a great web show that parodies movie review shows. Highly recommend it if not. It sounds cool. I'll check it out, man. It sounds like something like Red Letter Media would do. James Doshier says, which Lord of the Rings movie do you like the most? You know, I always go back and forth on this. There was a point where I actually really enjoyed the Two Towers. For some reason, I enjoyed the Two Towers because something about it, like, I just felt like the movie just, I like the battle sequences in the Two Towers. I like how it's building up. Those are things I liked about it. The tone of the Two Towers I liked a lot. Return of the King for me, I almost might say, at one point I said I liked it the most, but I would, thinking back on it, maybe I like it the least because it's just like, it feels like it never wants to end. So for me, actually, I would say maybe Fellowship. Maybe the first Lord of the Rings movie, and I'll tell you why. I love the origin of any story. Something about the origin to me is just so exciting. It's like we're getting ready to go on a journey, an adventure. And I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna go too. Can I come along, Mr. Frodo? And he says, yes, you can. What are we talking? What are we talking about? Oh yeah, so the reason I like the first one so much is because the Shire. When the movie opens up and you're in the Shire, it's sort of comforting. You feel a little bit cozy. You're like, ooh, I want to live here with the hobbits. So maybe the first movie. Maybe the first movie is my favorite. Screencast says, hey, John. I hope you're doing well. Do you have any excitement for Halloween Kills? I don't hate the 2018, but it doesn't make me excited for what comes next. Yeah, it definitely doesn't make me excited for what comes next. And apparently some early reactions say the movie's just, it's more or less what you think it's going to be. It sort of just feels like a stepping stone into the third movie. It just feels like an excuse to make another movie. Like, they probably could have just wrapped it up in this movie, I'm sure, if they wanted to, but they didn't. Do I want to see it? Yes. I'm a huge fan of Michael Myers. I like that Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back. But I just don't feel like the screenplays for these new movies are worthy of making new movies. So I'm looking forward to it. Yes. Do I think it's going to be great? Probably not. I was not a big fan of 2018. I thought there was just blatant mistakes that they wrote into that screenplay that easily could have been avoidable. But it's like, if this is the best idea you had, maybe you shouldn't have made this. I don't know. Josh Coffey says, and thanks for the question, screencast. Josh Coffey says, Mr. Thursday Night, the flick pick, insert RVD pose. AEW or WWE, also favorite wrestler from both past and current. WWE sort of sucks nowadays, but I've always been a WWE guy. You know what it is? When I watch wrestling, to me, it's like a live action soap opera for dudes. And I enjoy the vascularity, the baby oil, the theatricality. I like the theatrics of wrestling. I like the lighting and the sets and everything. So WWE for me has always been superior when it comes to those things. Like, I still watch, even if I don't watch wrestling, I always go out of my way to watch like WrestleMania because it's such a spectacle. Favorite wrestlers from the past, I always enjoyed like Mick Foley, Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously. Those are a few I always really enjoyed back in the Attitude Era. I'd go with those. I liked Brock Lesnar when he first debuted. Elliot Cecil says, watched The Dark Knight the 500th time today for Batman Day. Was today Batman Day? I didn't know that. How did I not know that? Where have I been? Yeah, I've seen that movie almost too many times. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still holding this hammer. I've seen The Dark Knight so many times to the point where like I can start nitpicking little flaws about it, and I hate myself for it. I'll tell you one movie that has not aged well for me, and that's The Dark Knight Rises. I will admit it. I watch that movie sometimes, and I'm just like, it felt like this. When you watch The Dark Knight Rises, there's so many great moments in it, and I do enjoy those moments. But when you watch it, it just feels like the first draft of a screenplay. Like, maybe they should have went through it a few more times to like get the fine details to make a little more sense. Because when it comes to, out of all the Dark Knight films, The Dark Knight Rises makes the least amount of sense, and it also tries to do the most. So sometimes less is more. So yeah, let's go to the next question. Joshua Garrison says, "Are you going to be watching Cry Macho?" I love me some Clint Eastwood. Yeah, got my lawn before I hit you in there with a hammer. Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it. I know it comes out. It came out today technically, but it'll maybe this weekend. If I get bored enough, I'll probably check it out or something. Sure, why not? I love me some Clint Eastwood. But his last movie, The Mule, was not that great. I'm just like, why did you make this? In your twilight years, Clint, why was this the movie you felt like you needed to make? But yeah, I'll probably check it out. Hopefully it's good. I haven't heard much about it yet. XJTL4, you sound like a robot. He's like a robot. You sound like you'd be a droid in the Star Wars universe. What do you think of Watchmen 2009? Underrated, in my opinion. Oh, man. See, years ago, before Zack Snyder ever directed Batman v Superman or Man of Steel or the Justice League, I remember in 2010 in a Q&A, someone asked me, John, if they make a new solo Batman movie, who should direct it and why? And I specifically remember saying Zack Snyder based on what he did with Watchmen, because when you see the characters in that film and the look of it, I just love those things. I think the movie, the director's cut's a little too long, but the look of Watchmen was everything I sort of wanted to see from like a different, more fantastical version of a Batman movie. So anyway, yeah, I do enjoy Watchmen. Silk Spectre in the flying owl mobile up in the sky. What a great love scene that was. Yeah, man. I mean, what's not to love? You have Dr. Manhattan, just the pinnacle of like manhood, just his big dingly dong floating around, glowing. I'm just like, God. Yeah, Watchmen's great. I actually, I still have the Watchmen poster in storage. And I went to school for graphic design, but when it comes to like a superhero poster, when you look at the Watchmen poster with Rorschach on it, and it has like a city skyline, and it's like a rainy day, and it has the big yellow bold letters of Watchmen at the bottom, to me, that is perfection when it comes to like a theatrical movie poster. Like that to me is something like I want to hang on my wall. So that's why I bought the poster. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. All right, Bobby Knight, are you watching Halloween Kills on Peacock or in theaters? I'm excited to stream it. Horror movies in theaters are the worst with annoying audiences. Abso-fucking-lutely they are. And I'll tell you why I didn't... Well, first of all, here's why I'm going to see Halloween Kills in theaters, and only because of this, and I do agree with you. I try to go out of my way never to watch a horror film in theaters with audience members, because it only takes a few stupid teenage girls to scream and squeal and text on their phone to make me just stand up, and it will no longer be Halloween Kills. It'll be called Flick Pick Kills, everyone in the audience. When I go, if I did go see a horror film in a theater, I'll just take this hammer with me and sit like this the whole time. But either way, yeah, the reason I'll see it in theaters is because I've said this a few times. I have a buddy who's a GM at a movie theater. He fortunately invites me a few days early to the early screenings of the movies when they first unlock them to watch them for employees and things. So when I do go to watch it in a theater, it'll be me and like 3 other people, hopefully. So I will probably watch it in a theater because of that. But I do have the Peacock network, so if I do rewatch it, it'll be on the Peacock network. Bruce Cook, thanks for the super chat, Bruce. Brevin's Flicks and Games. Hey, Brevin, how's it going? Hey, John. I'll be going over the Matrix films once a month on my channel leading up to Resurrections, hoping it's not disappointing. What do you think? We talked about that earlier. I hate the Matrix sequels. I think Matrix 2 and 3 are some of the worst sequels ever made. And I will tell you this. So let me give you a little backstory on how much I hate those movies. Now, I love the first Matrix. Absolutely love it. Great. Groundbreaking movie, in my opinion. The second movies are just bastardized versions of that original movie. But yeah, the second Matrix movie, I went to see that in theaters with like 5 friends. Halfway through the movie, we just looked at each other. We're like, this movie sucks. Like, this is sucky. Like, I just remember, like, the Keymaster character. I was like, what is this? Like, the opening scene on the highway was cool. Like, that's great. But after that, the movie just goes to shit. And then I remember the scene on the playground where you had all the CG Agent Smiths fighting Neo, and everyone looked like they were made out of, like, rubber. Their bodies are just doing this. Like, wacky inflatable waving guys. So I think after that scene is where we got up and left. And then we went and got some Taco Bell or something. And then when it comes to the third Matrix film, Revolutions, I remember falling asleep for a good 35 minutes in that movie. And then waking up when they're in the mech suit shooting at the giant hole. I have since went back and rewatched the movies like 3 or 4 times. But I hate them. I really do. They're so disappointing. All right, the next one, Bruce Cook said nothing, and Bruce Cook said nothing again, but thank you for both super chats, Bruce Cook. Why did you not ask a question, Bruce? Thanks, man, but if you have a question, type it in the normal chat. All right, I'm sorry, I was reading something weird for a second. Okay. Where am I at? Oh, there we go. Oh, Beach Bum 0331 says, what's the best decade for movies? I'd say the 90s with T2, Jurassic Park, and The Matrix. I think when you sum it up, you really do have to say the 90s. Because the 90s gave you the most variety, right? The 80s, there's some great stuff that came out in the 80s. You definitely had a certain tone of movies, though. When it came to, like, action movies, it was like the tough guy, muscle-bound, baby-oiled action movies. And then in the 90s, they kind of like stepped away from that just a little bit here and there. So I just think when it comes to like variety, I would probably go with the 90s. I think you had like great comedies. You had like Home Alone. You had like The Sandlot. You had and then you had action movies. You had Point Break. You had Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You had Speed. You had The Matrix. And then when it came to like dramatic movies, you had The Shawshank Redemption. You had Forrest Gump. Holy shit, the 90s were great. You had Pulp Fiction. I could keep going and going. So yeah, I think overall, if I could only watch one decade of movies for the rest of my life, I would be hard pressed not to say the 90s, because there's just so many great iconic movies that still stand the test of time that give me everything I want. And when it comes to like my top 20 movies of all time list, I would say the majority of those movies are actually from the 90s. Another great dramatic movie from the 90s, Silence of the Lambs. So yeah, I'm going to say the 90s by far. Jameson Dempster has become a member. Yay! Thanks, Jameson. Hope to see you around, man. Homelander's #1 fan. Oh, I love me some Homelander. Thanks for the super chat. No question, though, Homelander. Matrix Reloaded isn't that bad. I mean, I guess all film is subjective, but I would say it's terrible. 94 and 99 were both great years for film. Yeah, almost too good, right? It's like, what happened in the atmosphere at that time to make those movies so good? What were people drinking when they wrote screenplays? 99, yeah, you had Fight Club in 99, Matrix. I mean, the list goes on and on. You also had 8mm in 1999. I always praise that movie, though it's weird and gross. The brothers talk about, hey John, did you see that Funko released a Walmart exclusive Turbo Man figure that is identical to the one from the film? Will you be trying to secure one for Jamie this Christmas? I'd love to see a flick trip about it. I did not know that. Maybe I did know that. Put the cookie down! No, I probably, what I will do, actually that would make a good flick trip video where I just go to every Walmart searching for a Turbo Man doll, and eventually I go to a warehouse with like these fraudulent Santa Clauses, and I get into a fight. Then at the end of the flick trip, I'm being chased by Sinbad, flying around in a Turbo Man suit. Could happen. I don't really need a Turbo Man doll. I really don't need that. But then again, I don't need a $200 RC remote-controlled Batmobile that has lights in my garage right now. But I have it, so then again, maybe I will. King of the Ozone. Hey, John, what model TV did you get? And any recent Blu-ray pickups from the past couple of months missed the collection updates? I do the collection updates, man. Anytime I get new movies, I showcase them in the live shows. So go watch the live shows. In the beginning of this, I just did an unboxing for the Shawshank Redemption on 4K. Then I held this movie up, and I'm going to drop it right now. So yeah, as far as the model TV that I have a LG OLED 65-inch TV. I don't know the exact model, but it's from 2017, but you can't go wrong with everything I just said. LG OLED. That's all you need to know. Sack of Wine. Can you do a Christopher Walken impression as Andy Dufresne in Shawshank? I'm going to do one Christopher Walken impression per live stream, and that's it. Even if I get asked another one, I'm not doing it. Hey, sisters, if I drop the soap, you might split me up the back, but hey, say hi to your mother for me. That's all I got. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I got, man. Kyle says, I've been a fan since the Tiny Todd days. John, love your content. It still fucking baffles my brain that people reference Tiny Todd, a plastic toy skeleton that was meant to be a joke, for like 2 videos, and we still talk about said character 8 years later. So that is true dedication. And all I can do is say thank you, and I'm also sorry. Favorite Christmas movie if you could not pick Home Alone. My favorite Christmas movie if I couldn't pick Home Alone. Maybe the Santa Claus. Maybe the Santa Claus with Tim Allen is definitely one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Obvious choice would be A Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out. I'd actually say A Christmas Story would be my second favorite Christmas movie, and then Home Alone. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, A Christmas Story, then the Santa Claus. I remember seeing the Santa Claus with my dad back in the 90s. And I sort of always related to it. And I'll tell you why. Because I would go, my dad had like weekend custody of me because my parents couldn't get along and they got a divorce. That's everything wrong with me right there. But I would go stay with my dad on the weekends and we'd just see movies. So in the movie The Santa Claus, Charlie, the young kid in the movie, is sort of in a similar situation. So every time I went to stay with my dad on the weekend, I always imagined like it being Christmas time and him going up on the roof and Santa Claus falling off to his death, and then my dad becomes Santa Claus. Now, everything I just said sounds like I need to go talk to a psychiatrist. I understand that, but that's always why I like that movie so much. Let's keep going. Abinash Mahatni says, thoughts on, why do I always pronounce Denis Villeneuve, why do I mispronounce his last name every time? Denis Villeneuve's comments on the MCU movies. The director of Sicario. So yeah, he essentially said, if you didn't know, the director of Sicario and Dune and Blade Runner 2049 said he sort of did the same thing Martin Scorsese did, and whenever you do this, MCU fans get very upset. He said essentially MCU movies are copy and paste movies. But here's what I say to that. If any directors can have an actual opinion about film and cinema, is it not like Martin Scorsese and the guy who directed like Blade Runner 2049 and like the upcoming Dune and like Arrival, like their opinions are valid nevertheless, even if you don't agree with them. As far as my take on it, I think for the most part, what he meant by that is Marvel has sort of a formula. And do they copy and paste that exact formula into every single movie? No, they do not. Sometimes they do. Sometimes by the third act of a Marvel film, you sort of get that typical big CGI fest where the good guy has to fight something big in CG and overcome and save the day. Yeah, they do have that. So in a sense, they do sort of have that copy and paste. That's what I think he was referencing. Olivia Farrell says, nothing, but thank you, Olivia, for the question. Oh, you do ask a question up here. Olivia Farrell says, send a super chat before and press send before I wrote the question. Yeah, I think that's happening a lot today, unfortunately. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Dune? Will you be watching it? Of course. Yeah, I'm going to start actually reviewing movies again on a channel where I review movies. So yeah, I'm going to see every big movie coming up and I'm going to do my best to review them. And I, for a fact, will review Dune. So yeah, I'm excited for it. For me, I love sci-fi films. I like big, huge scope, epic sci-fi films. And like anytime I can get one of those, I crave it. I need it. I want more of them. So hopefully Dune fulfills that void in my life. Garrett Benningfield says, top 5 video games and what movie would make a good game? My top 5 video games like of all time? Because I played like in recent years, the only things I've really played are like Call of Duty. Eventually I plug in my SNES Classic and play that for a few minutes, which is sort of like stress relieving for me. And it also like is cathartic and takes me back to a happy place of being a kid. But for me, top 5 games of all time, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And if you want me to pick one to make a movie out of, Zombies Ate My Neighbors would be my number 1 choice to make a movie or a series on Netflix. That's it. Secondly, I would say Super Mario World. What's another game? Like I enjoyed Halo 2, but I only really liked multiplayer. trying to think of some other games. There's some weird games I always got addicted to, but like never had the urge to play again. I remember really liking racing games. So a few racing games I loved were like F-Zero on SNES. I also really enjoyed the game Rush, which was on N64. Like Rush 2049 was always a fun racing game for me. Mortal Kombat is in my top 5. Which one? Probably like if I had to pick one, like Mortal Kombat 2. Let's see. Let's pick one more game. What's one more video game I've always loved? Street Fighter 2 is pretty damn good. But I'm trying to think of something different. Man, I need to think about this. It's hard to answer like top 5 questions on the spot because I want to give you a really good answer. Yeah, someone said Legend of Zelda. I never got into the Zelda games. I don't know. They just weren't for me. Jake says, John Campeo went on a rant about Dennis V calling people zombies for watching MCU movies. Of course he did. Why? Because it gets the clicks. Now just hold on a second there. Okay, now listen here. These movies are more than movies, okay? Yeah, I'm sure you went on a rant. Like, how do you... I just don't care that much about some guy's comment on movies. I just don't. All right, the next one comes from... I don't even know where I'm at right now. Oh, there we go. Okay. Olivia, did you... Oh, you asked another question, right? No. Okay. Age of the speech impediment. Age of the keyboard warrior. Other than watching movies, what were you up to in the 90s? I mean, that's a pretty loaded question, man. It's a pretty... I don't fucking remember. Actually, I do remember vividly. Well, it depends where at in the 90s we're going to go. I mean, it just really depends. Back in like 95 to 99, I lived in Georgia, and I lived in this dead-end street in the middle of nowhere, which was on a giant hill. Literally, the street in front of my house was like the same angle that the Titanic sank. It was like a 90-degree angle. And I had like a few friends that lived on the street, and we'd always like walk through the woods and go to the creek and then like go to each other's house and play video games and watch movies. And it was a really good time. And I always remember back in the 90s, like we'd go to the video store and we go to Blockbuster, obviously, as most people probably did, but something about that whole process of like getting in the car, going to Blockbuster, and you were allowed to rent like either one game and one movie or 2 movies. That was the rule. I was allowed to rent like 2 movies or 1 game and 1 movie. So you had to make like decisions. And as a young person or a young child, these are like life-altering decisions. Your whole weekend revolves around this choice, and it better be a damn good choice. So I always remember going to the video store and going up and down the aisles and looking at the cover art and like looking at the back of it and like, I don't know, like putting it back and like, so I just remember like that was like an hour-long process every time I went to the video store, and it was always fun. So I guess that's what I was doing back in the mid-1990s, going to school. I was in like elementary school. I remember I went to a weird elementary school, and I don't know if this was a thing at your school, but it was definitely a thing at my school, and I never participated. But kids in my school would go into the bathroom, and have you ever had a pixie stick? Like the little sugar tube of candy? It's just sugar in a tube. And they would snort pixie sticks. Like that was a cool thing in elementary school. Like, you want to be cool? Snort the pixie stick. And I'm like, what is your home life like? So that's what I was doing. That's a weird memory I just unlocked. Did anyone else do that? Okay. Let's go to the next one. Dustin Rich says, can you do an impression of Nicolas Cage as Darth Vader? Hey Luke, what is that in your pocket or something? A lightsaber? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, the next one. NRM Design says, John, do you miss the days before movie leaks and spoilers, when you would not know a movie is coming out until trailers and at the movie theaters? I do. I hate the way things are marketed nowadays, because truly no one has any patience or attention span anymore. So now to sell a movie, you basically have to release 87 trailers. You have to release the first 25 minutes of the movie for free on YouTube. And then, then it comes out and it's instantly forgotten. So yes, I do hate it. I remember at a time when you had to go to the movie theater. You had no clue what was coming out. And then the trailers were so exciting, because this is like the first introduction to these new upcoming movies. You didn't hear about this shit on Facebook. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, the trailers were as good as the movie. Like, you never knew what was coming next. And sometimes you're just like, holy shit. Okay, cool. For example, even back in 2004, I think, when the first teaser trailer for Batman Begins came out, and yes, we had the internet, but you didn't get trailers. YouTube wasn't really a thing, and if there was a trailer, you kind of had to go searching for it. So I remember the Batman Begins teaser trailer playing before some random movie in like 2004, and I just remember, like, okay, I see Christian Bale. I see a guy like climbing up to the side of a mountain. I'm like, okay, what's this movie about? And then all of a sudden he opens that cabinet with the bat cowl in it. And I was like, holy shit. And that would not have had the same impact if I watched that at home on my fucking iPhone. So yeah, I do miss those days. That's why I don't want to sound like an old bitter man, but I'm so glad I'm the age I am, because I sort of got the best of both worlds, So if you're younger, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everything's spoiled and ruined for you. Claudia Rogajon says, according to your story in an old video, didn't you shoot something into a hole the night you saw Matrix 3? Didn't you fall asleep in a girl's lap? How do you remember that? I love that you remember things like that. That means the world to me. Thank you for remembering that. So as far as shooting something in a hole, I was referencing when the mech suit people shoot sentinels coming out of a hole in the sky in the third Matrix movie. As far as falling asleep in a girl's lap, that is in fact true. I went with a high school girlfriend to Matrix 3, and I did fall asleep in her lap for like 25 minutes. Yes, that is true. Good memory, man. When did I say that? Anyway, Bakatir says, hey, John, for the upcoming holiday season knocking on our doors, which Christmas movies would you consider your favorite? Mine would have to be Lethal Weapon or Die Hard, in my opinion. Yeah, we just talked about Christmas movies. I mean, if you want to get crazy and off the wall, you could say Die Hard, you could say Batman Returns. You could say half of the Shane Black movies that have ever come out, because they all take place around Christmas. Even Iron Man 3 is around fucking Christmas time. But I'm going to watch Home Alone 1 and 2, and then when I see the bird or the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2, I will puke. So that's what I'm going to watch. 1901, are you excited for The Many Saints of Newark, the prequel to The Sopranos? Are you a Sopranos fan? Yeah, I loved me some Sopranos. It was a great series. And I went back probably like 3 years ago and rewatched all of it. I hate the final season of The Sopranos. But yes, I'm excited for the prequel movie, but I will say this. I don't understand why they didn't decide to make a mini series for HBO. Seems like it would have made more sense. I don't like, why not make 10 episodes on the backstory of The Sopranos rather than a 2-hour movie? It just feels like you could tell way more story and get more out of it, but that's just me. I don't know why they didn't do that. Tom Lazoric. And thanks for the super chat, Tom. Hey, John. I made a video titled The Best Movies for Fitness Motivation on my channel called Tom Lazoric. I think you and your subs would enjoy it. If I could get a shout out, it would mean the world. You've been a huge source of inspiration for me. Well, Tom, thank you for that, man. And yeah, if you guys Want to check out the best movies for fitness motivation, check out Tom Lazorik's channel. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to check that out because you better have included Rocky 4. And Rocky 4 is not in there. We're gonna have a dispute, to say the least, because Rocky 4, the training montage sequence in there when he climbs to the top of the mountain and screams Drago, that to me I instantly want to lift some heavy shit when I watch that. But yeah, man, thanks for the question. Z White says, just rewatch Halloween 1 through 6, and I think 4, 5, and 6 are so much better than 1 and 2. The original is so overrated. I think overall series is bad, though. See, I disagree with that. I think Halloween 1 and 2 are the best. Easily the best. Because the first one to me is so pure and streamlined, and I like that it didn't have a huge budget, and it's exactly what it needs to be. It's just eerie, and it almost has like a film noir vibe to it. 2 gets a little bit more Hollywood-esque, but I still think it's like a good movie, though it's a little bit underwhelming because it oddly enough takes place at a hospital, but this hospital only has 2 patients at it. Like, what is this? Is this a hospital or a ReadyMed? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I would disagree with that. I actually, the first Halloween is my favorite by far. I watch it usually every Halloween. Bruce Cook, thanks for the super chat. No question, but thanks, Bruce. The Great Baron Samedi says, don't miss going late night to Walmart and having the aisles to yourself and getting high on bike tires. Oh, don't you miss going to Walmart late at night and sniffing bike tires? You bet your ass I do. You know, I was just thinking about that the other day, actually. It was so convenient. We live in a different world. Things have changed too much, too quick, too soon, and not for the betterment of anything. It's like they're trying to condition us to less. I could go off on a tangent right now, but I won't. But I will just say this, yes. Walmart being open late at night was so nice because that's when I liked going there. I don't want to go to Walmart during the day when the unwashed masses are in there shopping. Ugh, no thank you. Nighttime was the only time to go to Walmart. There's no one in there. And it's like when you went into Walmart at 1 o'clock in the morning, it was like transcending to a different universe. What is this universe? It's aisles of Chinese-made products at low discount prices with fluorescent light bulbs, but there's a great variety of things to talk about and do in this store, and I loved it. And yes, I do miss the bike tires and sniffing them. And the weird thing about bikes with the pandemic, with the pandemic happening, is bikes sold out, and manufacturers could not produce enough bikes. So whenever you go to the store to find bikes, they have like 2 to pick from. So it's just like it's a weird time. It's like they took everything I loved away from me. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. All right. The next one comes from Bruce Cook. John, do you ever make fun of bad movie names? Example, Jupiter ascending into the stupider descending. I can't say I do. Maybe I have. I do make lame jokes often. I'm sure I have. I can't specifically think of one off the top of my head that I've made. Forrest Gump, more like Forrest Dump. No, I've never done that. I've never done that. By the way, speaking of Jupiter ascending, another reason I'm a little bit afraid of the new Matrix movie. They just... their filmography for the last 20 years has not been all that impressive. All right, let's jump over to the normal chat here. By the way, if you guys are YouTube members or if you guys are in the normal chat right now, ask questions. Ask as many as you can. I know people complain, John, all you answer are super chats. But I'm going to answer super chats because it's the least I can do if someone wants to take the time to donate to my channel. But now's the time to get in the normal questions. I will try to rapid fire as many as I possibly can. So please ask away. The next one comes from Beachbum0331. Honestly, I feel like the old man from Shawshank, and I'm only 33. Oh, Brooks. Yeah, sometimes I want to carve my name into a wall and just... Yeah, I'm just like, what is the point of anything? You are talking about Brooks, how the whole world just sort of passed you by. I get what you're saying, yeah. I feel like Morgan Freeman, I'll be honest with you. Thoughts on Chronicle? I saw the movie once. It's okay. It's a good found footage movie. I know they're making like a sequel to it, but it's going to star an all-female cast because they have to, I guess. I don't know. It was okay. I didn't love his Chronicle as much as some people. Thoughts on Spirals? Are you talking about Spiral or Spirals? Are you talking about the new Saw movie, or is there something else called Spirals? If you're talking about the new Saw movie, I did not like it. I wanted to like it, I just didn't. Next flick trip, please. I have the next flick trip. Guess what? Is ready to fucking go. It's gonna go. I just have to get approved for a Skillshare sponsor, and it's gonna be live immediately following that approval process. So it's coming. Thoughts on The Revenant? I love the way it looks. I love the cinematography. I like when the bear basically has his way with Leonardo DiCaprio. I also like how it was filmed with naturalistic light. I watched it once, maybe twice. Not the most rewatchable movie, and Tom Hardy is the most inaudible Tom Hardy I've ever seen. I'm gonna walk over some pelts or something. Like, what the fuck are you saying, Tom Hardy? What happened to your Uncle Gary? He's in an insane asylum. That's not true. DJ Run says, how's Tinder and Hinge dating? It was good for a while. Then, I'm trying to settle down now. It got exhausting. It gets scary. It gets exhausting. And you sort of get to a point where you just want to lay in the fetal position in your bed and question every life decision you've ever made. Pick the Flick. I probably won't do Pick the Flick today because it's almost midnight and I have a few other things to do. I'll savor the flavor for the next Pick the Flick, though. Is this getting annoying yet? I like it. Yeaman John says, who had a better action trilogy in the 90s? Arnie, T2, Total Recall, and True Lies. Are Keanu, Point Break, Speed, and The Matrix, Cage, The Rock, Con Air, Face Off. Whew, holy shit. That is definitely a trifecta there. For me, I think T2 is the best action movie ever made. I think True Lies is a pretty damn good action movie. Total Recall I really like. But The Matrix, man, oh man, that's definitely, and my second favorite action movie of all time is Point Break. But I'm going to go with Arnold simply because you can't top T2 in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Arnold for the best action movies in the 90s. Though, he really only made one I loved. That's a toss-up. But then you had Nicolas Cage and The Rock and Con Air. Damn, those are good movies. You could flip a coin. I'd probably lean towards Keanu for Speed and Point Break and The Matrix because he had like 3 great solid movies. So you could almost say he wins, but T2 is still my favorite though. Next flick trip, even though COVID and masks. Now where I live, no one's wearing masks where I live, and I don't wear a mask in the flick trip. So yeah, no masks in the flick trip. So look out for it. Pelts, yeah. Pelts. Tom Hardy's saying pelts. Dustin Rich says, can I flick your pick? Absolutely, anytime, Dustin. Josh Coffey says, did you collect or purchase any horror figures like from Target? I think the brand is NECA. No, I didn't. I think they're cool. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know where to put them. And I don't know. I just never had an urge to collect like figurines. I just never have. If I did, I'd play with them in the bathtub. To be honest with you, like I wouldn't just put them on a shelf. I want to play with them in the bathtub. Bucketeer says, do you think the Matrix 4 is rehashing Matrix 1 like Force Awakens for A New Hope? It's basically the same movie. See, my theory, and I said I had no theory, but I do have a theory. I think Matrix 4 will go back to the events of the first Matrix film to a certain degree. At one point in the Matrix 4, I really feel like they're definitely going to bring back that green color grading for an extensive amount of the film. So I would say they might go back and like reference the events of 1999, or they might go back and look at the events from a different perspective. So in that sense, I do think that's accurate. What is your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? Probably, I actually like Lionheart. Not many people talk about Lionheart. Everyone's talking about like Bloodsport, but I liked Lionheart. And Time Cop is probably his best movie. What is the best The Rock film from the early 2000s? The Rundown, easily. Just spent $35 on Leatherface replica mask. Well, now you just go to Home Depot and buy a chainsaw and have a good night, man. Flick, you once said, I'll stop when I'm in hell. Still feel that way? Absolutely. Where do you live, Flick? I live in Indiana. No Time to Die, Dune, and you said No Time to Die will be better. I think I'll probably enjoy No Time to Die more than Dune. I don't know that for sure, but I'm a little bit more invested in the character of James Bond played by Daniel Craig, so it really just depends on how that ends and how they finalize the movie, but I'm excited for both, though. Thoughts on Nice Guys? No one messes with Gators, bitches. I like it. Dustin Rich says, what if Arnold said you were an idiot and your channel was trash? That's fine. That's absolutely fine. As long as he lets me touch his greasy, oiled up bicep. Thoughts on Andrew Garfield leaked photos? I think we all sort of knew where that was going. I didn't see the leaked photos, though. Can we play G.I. Joes in the bathtub together? I have a weird story. Me and my cousin used to play toys together in the bathtub when we were like 5 or 6 years old. And my cousin's a girl. So I guess it wasn't that weird. We were both the same age. But I remember being like 9 years old and asking if we could do it again. And like everyone looked at me like I was weird. I was like, what's the problem? I was like, I just want to play G.I. Joes. Let's pretend like I didn't just say what I said. Okay, thoughts on The Crow? Yeah, Brandon Lee definitely passed too soon. What movie? Favorite fast food restaurant? Probably Wendy's because of the spicy nuggets, but I also like Chick-fil-A. Lone Tiger Films, how are you feeling about your channel content lately? I definitely need to get more consistent. And I'm looking forward to getting more consistent with the new influx of movies coming out in October. So the last video I put out, I thought was a good video. Once again, if you haven't seen it, I put out a video basically reviewing 8 movies I never reviewed this summer. It's essentially like a summer movie wrap up. And it's also one of the coolest sponsorships I've ever done, where there's fucking dinosaurs and I'm in Universal Studios. So if you guys could go watch that video after this live show, I'd appreciate it. Give it a like if you want to. Leave a comment, whatever you want to do. So I'm feeling good. It feels good to like be back, more or less. When will you buy a house? Are you new here? I bought like 4 houses. I have like 3 house tour videos on YouTube. I've bought houses. I think I'm done buying houses. It's exhausting. Renting is so much easier. I assure you, it's so much easier. Thoughts on Knowing starring Nicolas Cage? I vaguely remember it. I liked the concept. The execution was sort of underwhelming. But thank you for using the Nicolas Cage emojis. Watch The Neon Demon. Stickman loves it. Stickman. And you will love it. Have I seen Neon Demon? No, I have not. I have not seen Neon Demon. Yeah, you know, Stuckman's, our opinions on horror films vastly differ. Sometimes I see like a horror film and he loves it. I'm just like, that was sort of like underwhelming, man. Like you liked that? So that's the one thing we always had the most different opinions on when it comes to films. But we also hate a lot of the same shitty horror films as well. So, would you play tag with your friends if you had the chance, like in the movie version? Yeah. I just wish I could play hide and seek again as an adult. I miss that. That was so fun. Claudia Rojan says, what other superhero movie doesn't hold up as well anymore other than the first X-Men movie? Also, I watched Blade 2, still awesome and fairly scary. Yeah, Blade 3 is not very good, but for some reason I saw it in theaters like 4 times. Blade 2 for me, I think I liked it. I just think some of the lighting in the movie, like Guillermo del Toro's lighting, he lights movies like I light my room. It's just sometimes he has such an artificial like yellow overhead light to his movies, but one superhero movie that doesn't hold up that well anymore. I don't think Green Lantern ever held up. X-Men Apocalypse, the more I watch that, the more I hate that movie. Like, it's really underwhelming. Like, you have Apocalypse, essentially the Thanos of the X-Men universe, and like just like it, that's what's gonna happen. Better film, Over the Top or Jingle All the Way? Over the Top. Honestly, I like Over the Top. It's a relatable movie to me. Take that how you will, but I relate to it. Thoughts on Sleepers 1996? Sleepers is a fucked up movie. Sleepers is one movie I watched as a kid and it terrified me. I was like, things like this can happen in society? That is truly terrifying. If you've never seen Sleepers, it'll make you look at Kevin Bacon in a completely different light. Landon, when did you go to Universal and how was it? I went to Universal last month. So I did a sponsorship with Reebok. They sent me some really cool Jurassic Park shoes. If you want to see the whole thing, just watch the latest video over on the Flickpick channel. I actually show myself in Universal, like doing like a little Jurassic Park skit. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I have not been to Universal since 2012. Going back was great. They had a few new rides. I will say the Transformers ride is really shitty. Like if you go, don't even get on it. It's terrible. But yeah, it was a fun time. I really enjoyed it. Beach Bum 0331 says, have you seen The Pig? Pig with Nicolas Cage? I have not. Me and my buddy, we've been meaning to like hang out and watch it. We both love Nicolas Cage movies, so it's on the to-do list. I've been wanting to watch it for a while. Joshua Garrison just became a member, so thank you, Joshua. Yay! Every time someone becomes a member, I'll do this. Yeaman John says, have you ever seen Bubba Hotep? Sorry. Starring Bruce Campbell as an older Elvis. I remember watching like 7 minutes of that. Someone had the DVD, and I went over to their house, and I just like, it's not like I hate watching movies like that. I just like, I get it's funny and goofy. I just wasn't into it. Lone Tiger Films, love your new vids and wish you get more followers. Well, thanks, man. Me too. Great Baron Samadhi. Great Baron Samadhi. John, I know you're a busy guy, but please, we need to get back to flick trips. To a lot of us, they are therapeutic. It's like chicken soup for the soul. Those are kind words. Thank you for that. That inspires me deep down inside. So thank you for that. Yeah, you know what the thing is, man? Let me tell you. Well, first of all, we were sort of in a pandemic for a minute. But I do have 2 flick trip videos. They are coming. The thing is, I can only go look at and buy movies so often before it's just the same thing, right? So, but then again, I can also, for me, flick trips weren't about just going to buy shit. You know, like I didn't ever want to make them about that. I just wanted to make it about an adventurous journey about one guy talking about movies. That's all they were supposed to be. So yeah, I want to at least do one new flick trip, 1 or 2 a month. And the thing that irritates me is I had a drone and I wanted to do some like cool drone shots for the flick trips. Are those necessary? No. But does it make making flick trips more fun for me? Yes. But I crashed my drone like 6 months ago when I was actually in the process of making a flick trip. And I never got it fixed. So I want to get that fixed so I can have some like cool shots for flick trip videos. I like doing things like that. I like the more cinematic, cool way of making a vlog. You know, I want to go above and beyond. So yeah, I want to make more. I do. Beach Bum, Joshua, I already answered this. Yeaman John says, holy crap, you're in Indiana, James Teen's hometown. Yes, I am. Yes. Well, his home state, not his hometown. But yes, I am in Indiana. Landon says, tips or life hacks when moving. Tips or life hacks when moving. If you can afford it, just pay a couple guys off Craigslist to move your shit. It's so worth your lumbar support and your spine. I promise you that. Another tip for moving is if you have a TV, what you can do to safely secure it is go to Dollar Tree or go to Walmart. And you know the noodles, the little foam noodles that you buy in the summertime to go swimming in a pool with? Buy a couple of those, cut them, and put them on the edges of your TV for extra padding to secure your TV. For a couple bucks, you'll keep your TV nice and safe and secure. So, yeah. Jake says, thoughts on your old videos? Sometimes I get randomly recommended on YouTube, like my old videos, and like, I'm like, oh, I forgot I made that, and I'll click it and I'll watch it. And sometimes, like, for example, I'll go back and watch some of the older Flick Trip videos, and there's some, I don't want to pat myself on the back and sound narcissistic, but I said some funny fucking shit in those videos. There's some comedic gold in those videos, like just some of the things I did. I'm just like, I can't believe I did that. But I'm so glad I did. And now it's on camera. like, you know how many crimes I committed in those videos? You know how many traffic violations I committed in Flick Trip videos? Now, if the authorities ever come knocking on my door, I'm just going to say it's all CG. I'm just going to say I hired Weta Digital. I had a budget of $3 million for each Flick Trip video. And those are artificial effects in those Flick Trip videos. Every time I ran a red light, that's not real. But yeah, man, I like some of my older videos. I look back and cringe, but some of them I'm like, that was pretty good stuff. So, Yeaman John says Rock versus Hogan WrestleMania 18 or The Rock versus Austin WrestleMania 17. I'd probably go with Hogan versus The Rock WrestleMania 18. But if you would have said something like the TLC ladder match at WrestleMania 17, which was like the most intense wrestling match I've ever seen, that right beside like the Hell in the Cell from King of the Ring 1998. Yes, I am a wrestling nerd. Those are like two of my favorite, most intense wrestling matches I've ever seen, because they're so intense and crazy, and there's so much violence and carnage happening in those, where it feels real. It's visceral. Lone Tiger Film says, favorite Matt Damon film. Mine is The Adjustment Bureau. You told me that once before, and I barely remember The Adjustment Bureau. For me, my favorite Matt Damon movie would probably have to be Good Will Hunting. Also, I think when it comes to 90s movies, Rounders starring Matt Damon is underrated. It's just a good time. I like movies about like poker and gambling. I find them highly fascinating. But I love Matt Damon in the first Ocean's 11 movie. I like him in Saving Private Ryan. So I liked him in The Martian. So. Dustin Rich, will you be making a sequel to your Disney Princess video? In 2021, I would be canceled insta-fucking-taneously. And I'm glad I made that video when I did. That video has like, I think that has over 1 million something views. And if you don't know what Dustin is talking about, probably like 8 years ago, I made a video called Top 10 Hottest Disney Princesses of All Time. I made that video. I made that. I don't remember why I made it, but I made it. My only regret was I didn't put Elsa on the list because I had not seen Frozen yet. That's my only regret with that video. Next question. John, your videos get me through your university. I graduated almost 4 years ago now. Oh, my videos got you through college. I was like, you graduated 4 years ago. Okay. Well, thanks for that, man. Thank you. I love hearing things like that. It really does mean a lot, so thank you. Yeah, you got to bring back movie night videos. I do want to bring back movie night videos. I will. Essentially, here's how I look at Flick Trips as like the main series on the John Flickinger channel, and I look at movie nights as like the main creative series on the Flickpick channel. Those are like the two series I like to like say like I made into something. Like they're mine, they're original. No one can duplicate it, no one can recreate it, and if they did, it just feels like a cheap made up product. So anyway, yeah, I do want to bring back movie nights. I'm just trying to think of like a great idea for another movie night. I think Halloween would be a good time. October definitely lends itself to a good movie night. So we'll do something along those lines. How's that? All right, I'm going to answer the remaining questions, guys, and then I'm going to wrap up this live show in just a few minutes. So, yeah, please, no more questions starting now. No more questions. Please don't submit any more questions because I don't want to miss them. All right. Joshua, listen, is it Leeson? Joshua Leeson says, do you enjoy making Black Friday videos every year? I do enjoy making those videos. I would say the last couple of years weren't as fun as they typically used to be because the issue is early on, Black Friday videos were way more exciting because you went out to Black Friday and you just knew you were going to get a shit ton of movies, right? Because you needed them. I didn't own them on Blu-ray. I didn't own them on 4K. And now I'm getting to a point where I sort of own everything I want to own. So it's getting harder and harder to find something new and make it exciting for a video. So, do I enjoy the process of Black Friday? Yes, but Black Friday doesn't feel like it used to 10 years ago. Like some Black Fridays just feel like a normal day of shopping. It's like it's not the same chaotic mess that it used to be. So it's not as exciting. But I enjoy making the videos. The Great Baron Samadhi says, you were very witty and funny in your Flick Trips. If I ran a cable TV network, I'll offer you your own late night Flick Trip show. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, that would be great. It always baffled me. It's like, why couldn't like some shitty network that's on like channel 998 give me like give me a series at 3:00 in the morning for Flick Trip videos? Like I'm sure people would watch it, at least a few people. You know what really irritates me? What's the guy who does the stupid karaoke singing in cars? Graham Norton or whatever his name is. It's just him and a celebrity in a car, like singing. Like I could have done that with Flick Trip videos, but it would have been me in a car with some actor or celebrity talking about the movie. Then we go to a movie theater, we go buy a movie, and that would have been like the show. It would have been the same thing. It would have been just as successful. I knew it deep down inside it could have been. And if they ever make that, I will sue them. That's my intellectual property. All right, the next one. Claudia Rogajon says that speaking of vampires, what? Speaking of vampires, which we weren't speaking of, I don't get the fascination with women's obsession with vampires. They are people with large teeth who suck you dry of blood. What the fuck? Everything you just said is why they love them. Because women are vampires, okay? I think there's like there's a romantic idea about vampires. It's like, I lust after you, and after I suckle on your neck, we will forever be alive and together. It's like, that I think there's some kind of weird phenomenon there. I would love to be a vampire, but not the kind like, I wouldn't glisten in the sunlight. I'd be like the evil vampire that just like prowls the streets murdering people, and I live in a sarcophagus in a Walmart. The next one comes from Yeaman John. Thoughts on the finishing move, People's Elbow. The most ridiculous over-the-top finishing move of all time. Like, he runs back and forth across the person 2 times before he elbow drops them. So unnecessary. But I love it. This isn't flying, this is falling in style. All right, Yeaman John says, Since I mentioned both Cage and Keanu dominated the 90s action genre, along with Arnold, why none of them consider the greatest action stars? What are you talking about? Everyone considers Arnold a great action star. And I think people at one time considered Cage as an action star to a certain degree. The thing is, like, he's just done so much, though. He's done dramatic roles. And Nicolas Cage going into the 2000s kind of stopped doing the action movies. You know, he was really into the action movies in the 90s. And I mean, I guess he did like Ghost Rider. But that was a piece of shit. And then Keanu actually was sort of an action star in the 90s. Like I think studios looked at him as an action star for a minute. So they've just done so much more that it's hard to just pigeonhole them into being an action star because they've done dramatic roles as well. Pleasure as always, Flick Pick. Me and Tiny Todd are going to sleep. Yeah, I'm going to go to sleep too. And by go to sleep, I mean, I'm going to be up for the next 5 hours editing and shooting a new video. But either way, one last question, and this is the final question. Claudia Rogajan says, in the Dracula book, he could walk in the sun. I'm talking about Twilight vampires, all right? Not the Daywalker type, all right? Dracula is beyond normal vampires. He's the pinnacle of vampires. Of course he can walk in the sun. I'm talking about Edward from Twilight, who sparkles in the sunlight. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, thank you guys so much for the questions, just hanging out with me for a few minutes. And by a few minutes, I mean a few hours, talking about movies. As always, guys, thank you guys for the support. Thanks for watching. And like I said 8 other times in this video, go watch the brand new video over on the Flickpick channel because I did make a new video for the Flickpick channel with my new backdrop, my new set behind me. I think you guys will like the lighting. It's a little bit magical, a little bit mystical. But as always, once again, thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a good night, and I will see you guys next time, and look out for a few new videos, possibly at least one coming this weekend. There should be one coming this weekend, hopefully. So take care, guys. Have a good night. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.